You're listening to the final frequency. It is 9:15 in the evening, day 1, or the end of it. I have now been awake for approximately 40 hours. I want to be transparent about that because it matters for how you weigh what I tell you tonight. 40 hours without sleep does things to perception. It sands the edges off your judgment. It makes patterns appear where there may only be noise. So tonight, more than ever, I'm going to separate what I observed from what I concluded. You deserve to know which is which. Here is what I observed. The figures in the street below this building stood facing east for 11 hours, from dawn until shortly after 5 in the evening. 11 hours, unmoving, through full daylight, through a brief rain shower at around 2, through everything. And then, at 17 minutes past 5, all of them, all 11 that I can see from this window, turned at the same moment. At the same moment, not roughly the same time, the same moment, like a flock of birds changing direction, like iron filings when a magnet moves. They are now facing northeast, toward the fire. And I need to tell you what else happened at 17 minutes past 5, because I was on the radio when it happened, and I heard it. This is day 1, the evening transmission. This is the final frequency, and tonight we talk about the signal. Let me take you back to this morning first. After I signed off the dawn broadcast, I spent 4 hours scanning for the woman on the secondary frequency, the one with the group of 11, the one who told me the standing figures were positioned before her transmission dropped. I found her at 11:40. Or, rather, she found me. She had moved. The group had relocated overnight to what she described as a more defensible position. I won't repeat the details she gave me about the location. What I will tell you is that she now has a call sign. Her choice, not mine. She goes by 6. I asked her why 6. She said, "There were 17 of us when this started. The 6 of us who are left from the original group voted on it. We keep the number so we remember." 17 to 11 in 2 days. She said it the way you report inventory. And then she moved on, because that is what her training does. It files the unbearable under logistics and keeps moving. 6 is, and I have now confirmed this through the kinds of questions that can't be faked, a former paramedic. 8 years on emergency response in this city. She knows the streets the way I know frequencies, and for the last 2 days she has been moving her group through those streets, which means she has seen this thing at ground level in a way I have not. I asked her to tell me what she has seen, and for 20 minutes she did. I am going to share 3 things from that conversation. There was more. Some of it I am holding back until I can process it. Some of it I am holding back because there are children listening to radios in dark flats tonight, and there are things they do not need in their heads. First, the affected do not respond to sound the way we assumed. 6's group tested this, carefully, at distance. Loud noises do not draw them. Shouting does not draw them. A dropped metal pipe on concrete does not draw them. What draws them is voices. Specifically, voices. A recording of music played from a phone. Nothing. The same phone playing a recording of a person speaking. Every head within 50 meters turned at once. They are not listening for sound. They are listening for speech. Second, they do not sleep, but they cycle. 6 has observed periods, roughly 4 hours, where the affected go almost completely dormant, standing but absent, followed by periods of slow, coordinated movement. The cycles appear to be synchronized across individuals who are nowhere near each other. Synchronized. Like they're all running on the same clock, or the same broadcast. Third, and this is the one I have been sitting with all day. 6's group passed within sight of St. Aurelius General Hospital yesterday, the building where all of this started. She says the affected in the surrounding streets were arranged Her word, arranged in a pattern around the building, concentric, facing inward, like a congregation. I asked her what she thought was inside. She was quiet for a moment, and then she said, "I don't think it's a what. I think it's a where. I think that building is where the signal is loudest." The signal. She used the word before I did. We had not discussed it. Two people, observing from completely different positions, arriving at the same word. That is not proof of anything. But it is not nothing either. At 1 o'clock this afternoon, the government frequency I intercepted yesterday went active again. Same channel, same mistake, unencrypted. Whoever is running their communications is either overwhelmed or no longer has access to the people who handle these things properly. Either possibility tells you something. The transmission was longer this time, 4 minutes, 2 voices. I recorded all of it, and I have listened to it perhaps 20 times. I'm going to share the parts I am confident I heard correctly. The first voice gave a status report. 3 sector designations, the same 3 as yesterday, plus 2 new ones. The figure attached to the original sectors had been revised. It is no longer 42%. It is 61. 61% in 1 day. Whatever is being measured, and I still cannot confirm what the percentage refers to, it grew by 19 points in approximately 24 hours. The second voice asked a question I want to quote exactly, because I wrote it down with my hand shaking slightly, and I have verified it against the recording. The second voice asked, "Is the attractor still localized?" The attractor. The first voice answered, "Confirmed localized. Original site. No migration observed." The attractor. Localized. Original site. St. Aurelius is the original site. I want to be careful here. I am a radio broadcaster, not a scientist. I do not know what attractor means in whatever technical vocabulary these people are using. In physics, an attractor is a state a system tends toward, a point that draws the surrounding system into its pattern. A point that draws the surrounding system into its pattern. 11 figures in my street, standing in formation, turning in unison. A congregation arranged around a hospital. An attractor. Localized. At the original site. The transmission ended with the first voice saying that the response window was, quote, "closing faster than modeled," and that a decision on the contingency would be required within 72 hours. The contingency. They did not say what the contingency was. After 2 days of listening to these people, I have noticed they never say what anything is. They have built an entire language out of not saying. Sectors, attractors, contingencies. A vocabulary designed so that men in rooms can make decisions about cities without ever once saying a word that sounds like what it means. Somewhere tonight, there is a document with the word contingency in it, and I would bet this microphone that nowhere in that document does it describe what the contingency would actually do to the people still alive inside those sectors. People like the mother in flat 14. People like my sister. People like you. Your messages kept coming today, more than yesterday. Word of this frequency is spreading the old way, person to person, battery radio to battery radio, and I want you to know that every message is read, even when it can't be read on air. 3 tonight. The first is an update, and I want to share it because we need the good news as much as the rest. K, The nurse, locked down in her hospital since the first evening, got a message through this morning. Her hospital is holding. The staff have organized. They have food for perhaps a week, a generator, and a secure floor. The affected patients in their isolation ward remain in the quiet state she described yesterday. And then she added something. She said, "We've noticed the quiet patients all face the same direction. We thought it was coincidence until someone checked it with a compass. Northeast." From her hospital, northeast. From my street, after 517, northeast. Kay's hospital is on the opposite side of the city from me. Lines drawn from both locations, extended northeast, would converge. I checked on a map. They converge near the industrial belt, near the fire that has been burning since before dawn. I don't know what that means yet. I'm telling you because you deserve the data, not because I have the conclusion. The second message came from a man I'll call V. He was, an engineer at the city's main power distribution facility. He walked out of that facility 2 nights ago when his shift supervisor stopped answering his radio and never walked back in. V told me something about the northeast fire. He said, "That's not a building fire. I know that part of the grid. The color is wrong and the smoke is wrong, and it hasn't spread in 2 days, which fires do and industrial venting doesn't." I asked him what he meant by venting. He said, "Something out there is burning fuel deliberately, continuously, like a flare stack, like something that needs to keep burning. A fire that doesn't spread, that doesn't go out, that every affected person in this city turned to face at 17 minutes past 5 this evening." The third message I will read in full, because it is short, and because I made someone a promise. It is from Jay, the teenager from the first night, the one whose parents went out for groceries and didn't come back. He is still in the flat with his sister. He writes, "We're okay. We found pasta. My sister made up a game where the noises outside are just weather. I let her win every round. You said staying inside was the whole job, so that's the job we're doing. Tell people the kids are still here. Jay, the kids are still here. Everyone listening, the kids are still here. Hold that tonight. Whatever else is true, hold that." Now I need to tell you about 17 minutes past 5. Properly. In order. Because I was at this desk when it happened, and I believe I may be one of the only people in this city who heard it as well as saw it. I keep a wideband scanner running at all times. It sweeps the spectrum, civilian bands, emergency bands, the dead air in between. Mostly it gives me static and fragments. It is the audio equivalent of staring out a window. At 16 minutes past 5, it caught something. A tone. Low frequency. At the very bottom of the range the equipment can resolve. Not a voice, not interference. A clean, deliberate, structured tone. And underneath it, a pattern. A pulse inside the tone, repeating, with a rhythm that my equipment logged at a fraction under 1 cycle per second. Roughly the rhythm of a resting human heartbeat. It lasted 41 seconds. I have it recorded. I have listened to it exactly twice, and I am not going to play it on air. Partly because I do not know what it does, and partly because of what happened while it was broadcasting. Because at 17 minutes past 5, while that tone was live, every figure in the street below this building turned northeast in a single coordinated motion. The tone played. They turned. The tone ended. They have not moved since. I triangulated what I could from signal strength. My equipment is not designed for direction finding, so what I have is crude. But crude is not nothing. The bearing is northeast. The signal came from the fire, or from very near it. So here is where the observed facts stand tonight, separated, as promised, from conclusion. Observed. A structured, low-frequency transmission of 41 seconds, originating northeast. Observed. Simultaneous, coordinated reorientation of every visible affected individual during the transmission. Observed. A continuous, deliberate burn at the same bearing. Observed. Government communications referring to an attractor at the original site, southwest of here. Conclusion, and I mark it clearly as conclusion, there are 2 points in this city tonight, one that gathers them, and one that just spoke to them, and I do not believe either one of those points is finished. I called my sister at 7. She answered on the second ring, which is becoming our private metric for okay. 2 rings means okay. I have started counting them the way other people check pulses. The dogs are not okay. She told me that at around 5:15 this evening, both dogs went to the eastern window of her flat and began a sound she has never heard from them in 6 years. Not barking, not growling. A low, continuous vocalization, both dogs together, pointed northeast. It lasted, she checked the clock because she has started checking clocks for everything, we all have, about 40 seconds. 41, I suspect, if she'd had my equipment. The dogs heard it, or felt it. The signal that turned 11 empty people in my street turned 2 frightened animals in hers, 8 kilometers away. Whatever was transmitted at 5:17 reached the whole city. She asked me what it was. My sister. Sitting in a dark flat with 2 shaking dogs, asking her brother, the radio man, what the sound was. And I told her the truth, which is that I don't know. And she was quiet. And then she said something I'm going to carry for a long time. She said, "When we were kids, you used to tell me the radio was magic because it meant no one was ever really alone in the dark. Is that still true?" I told her yes. I am telling all of you yes. That is the entire reason this microphone is still on. Whatever that tone was, whatever is burning in the northeast, whatever contingency is being drafted in whatever room, as long as this signal is live, no one listening to it is alone in the dark. That is not much. Tonight, it is what I have. At 8 o'clock, 6 made contact again. Scheduled this time. We have established a protocol, twice daily, and the discipline of it is good for both of us. She had heard the tone, too. One of her group has a battery radio, and the tone bled across the civilian bands for those 41 seconds. Everyone in her group heard it, and every affected individual within their sightline turned northeast at the same moment mine did. And then 6 said the thing I knew she was going to say, because she is the kind of person who runs toward the thing everyone else is running from. It is what 8 years of emergency response makes of a person. She said, "Someone needs to look at what's burning." I said that the same logic suggested someone needed to stay very far away from what's burning. She said, "The one standing in the street took 2 days to start turning toward it. Whatever timeline this thing is on, it's moving." The 42% became 61. The window the government people talked about is closing. Somebody is going to be the last person who could have looked and didn't. Somebody is going to be the last person who could have looked and didn't. I have no authority over 6. We are 2 voices who found each other in the static. But she asked me for something concrete, and I agreed to it, and you should know about it because it affects the next broadcast. Tomorrow at first light, her group moves northeast, not to the fire, to a vantage point she knows, a parking structure, high ground, 3 kilometers short of the industrial belt, close enough to observe, far enough, she believes, to stay out of whatever congregation is forming. She believes. My role is the radio. We have set check-in times, every 2 hours from dawn. If she misses one, I broadcast her last known position and her route on this frequency, so that whatever happened to them is at least known. Being known is not safety, but it is something. Ask anyone who has ever disappeared quietly. Ask the people of this city 2 days ago. I asked her, at the end, why she was willing to do this for strangers. She said, 8 years on ambulances. Everyone is strangers. You go anyway. You go anyway. 6. For whatever a tired man's words are worth from a tower of dead air, be careful. 2 rings tomorrow. It is now 10:40 in the evening. Day 1 is nearly over, by the clock, if not by any other measure. The figures below are still facing northeast. The fire is still burning its steady, deliberate, wrong-colored burn. The city is silent in that maintained way it has learned in 2 days. Here is what we know tonight that we did not know this morning. They listen for speech, not sound. They cycle in synchrony, like a system on a shared clock. They gather around the original site, the attractor, in patterns that look less like wandering and more like worship. The number is 61% and climbing. There is a contingency with a 72-hour clock on it, and at 17 minutes past 5 this evening, something in the northeast transmitted a 41-second tone with a heartbeat hidden inside it, and every empty body in this city turned to face it. 2 points, one that gathers them, one that calls them, and 11 people walking toward the second one at dawn. Here is what I want from you tonight. The same things as before, and one thing more. Stay inside. Stay quiet. And now we know why quiet matters. It is your voices they listen for. Speak in whispers. Keep the children's games silent ones. Keep your radios at low volume, close to your ear. And if you hear the tone again, and I believe we will hear it again, do not go to the window. Note the time, stay where you are. Let the empty ones do the turning. Tomorrow, 6 moves at first light, and I will be here, counting check-ins, reading your messages, watching the street. If the tone returns, I will tell you. If the government channel speaks again, I will tell you. If 6 sees what is burning at the heart of all this, I will tell you. Jay, keep letting her win. Flat 14, you are still heard. K, northeast. I know, we're working on it. This is the final frequency. The signal returns in 7 days. 2 rings means okay. Stay tuned, stay quiet, stay alive.